Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to be presenting on our research topic, which is the role of nanotechnology in wearable health devices. So first and foremost is why is this topic important? It addresses two critical healthcare needs, which is non-invasive monitoring and continuous tracking. The problem is traditional methods like blood draws are invasive, uncomfortable, and limit frequent testing. The solution to this is nanotechnology enables painless alternatives. For example, sweat based glucose sensors, in which graphenes detect glucose in sweat, eliminating finger prick tests for diabetes. Graphene ECG patches are another example that monitor heart activity through their contact, detecting arrhythmias, which is irregular heartbeats, without any wires or gels. The other is continuous tracking. Wearables track vital signs such as heart rate, glucose, and ECG 24 hours 7, enabling proactive healthcare. Why are we using nanotechnology? Because three main reasons: sensitivity, flexibility, and IoT 5G integration. For sensitivity, an example can be graphene. Graphene's atomic thickness and high surface area allows detection of ultra low biomarker concentration, for example 0.41 millimolar glucose in sweat. For flexibility, an example can be carbon nanotubes that create stretchable skin-like ECG electrodes that bend with the body, ensuring comfort and accurate signal acquisition during movement. And for IoT 5G integration, it is remote diagnostics. That is, nanosensors wirelessly transmit data via IoT 5G networks to healthcare providers. An example is our graphene ECG patch sends real-time arrhythmia alerts to a doctor's dashboard, enabling instant intervention. We then have five key nanomaterials that are used in wearable health devices. Number one is graphene, the most important one based on sensitivity. It is used in sweat glucose sensors and GFETs, that are transistors that detect biomarkers like cortisol without any labels. Then we have CNTs. These are super flexible. Carbon nanotubes, they're moving into e-textiles for ECG electrodes or strain sensors that track your breathing. Then we have gold nanoparticles and silver nanoparticles. Gold nanoparticles power COVID-19 colorimetric tests. They were used to detect COVID-19 and they changed their color from red to purple or red to blue. Um, Silver nanoparticles are a bit different. They're used in antimicrobial bandages that fight infections while monitoring wounds. Then we have zinc oxide nanowires. These convert your pulse or your footsteps into electricity. They're self-powering devices that keep track of your ECG, your heart rate 24 hours 7. We then have PDMS and SEPs, that is polydimethyl siloxane, or the styrene, ethylene, butylene styrene, which are some biocompatible substrates that stick to your skin for days without causing any irritation. Let's see how graphene is fabricated. They are done using two key methods. We either have laser engraving or we have GFET's fabrication. For laser engraving process, a laser etches a three electrode system working, reference, and counter on a graphene film, as you can see here. Working electrode interacts with the analytes, for example, glucose and sweat. Reference electrodes provide stable voltage for accurate measurements, and counter electrode completes the electrical circuits. The sample is then peeled off, likely a substrate preparation step. It is then coated with silver and silver chloride gel to enhance electrochemical properties. For GFETs, these are graphene field effector transistors. For its fabrication, graphene serves as an electrode, serves as a conductive channel between the source. Graphene serves as a conductive channel between the source and the drain electrodes, and the gate is the electrolyte, for example, sweat or saliva. For operation biomarker binding, for example, cortisol, which is the stress hormone, or DNA shifts the direct point, which is two energy bands, valence and conductive bands, that intersect linearly of graphene. So this shift alters the conductivity, hence producing a measurable current changes for ultra-sensitive detection. The key applications for graphene are laser engraved, are the sweat glucose monitoring with laser engraved graphene sensors provide continuous non-invasive glucose testing. For biomarker detection, cortisol or DNA, GFETs enable real-time, highly specific detection for stress monitoring or genetic analysis. And in cardiovascular health, graphene ECG patches detect arterial fibrillation by measuring subtle electrical activity on skin, offering early arrhythmia diagnosis. Then let's move on to CNT. CNTs are fabricated into two ways, wet and dry processing. For wet processing, first surfactants like SDBS, which is sodium dodecyl benzene sulfonate, or Triton X100, break apart CNT bundles into stable suspensions. Then we deposit them using one of the four techniques. We have dip coating, that is soaking textile into CNT ink, spray coating, blow CNTs onto fabric for even layers, spin coating, CNT dispersion spun at high speeds for uniform coatings on substrates, and vacuum filtration, that is create freestanding CNT films. For dry processing, we can do CVD synthesis, that is grow aligned CNT arrays onto the silicon, and direct spinning that pulls CNTs into fibers and weave them into smart textiles. An application of this is in stretchable ECG electrodes or in e-textiles.
Okay, now let's move on to the fabrication of gold nanoparticles. As gold nanoparticles have high surface area and they have small size, so they have high surface to volume ratio. So this allows more biomolecules to attach to them, and as gold conducts electricity well, this enhances signal strength in electrochemical sensors. As gold is chemically stable and non-toxic, this makes it safer for medical use. Let's move on to the fabrication methods. So the first method, commonly used, is the iron coating method. In the iron coating method, gold is first deposited in a viscous liquid medium without chemical reducing agents. This produces uniform nanoparticles with narrow size distributions. It also offers high precision in controlling particle size and morphology. Then comes the vapor deposition method. Gold is evaporated under controlled temperature and pressure, then condensed to form nanoparticles. This allows fine control over shape, size, and film thickness, and this is very ideal for creating highly pure, uniform particles for sensor applications. Then comes the method of laser ablation, in which a pulsed laser beam targets a solid gold surface, ablating material to form nanoparticles in a surrounding medium. This actually produces very stable nanoparticles without the need for surfactant. There are other methods like mechanical milling and pyrolysis too. Gold nanoparticles are used in viral detection, and this is because gold nanoparticles, when they bind to a target virus or gene, they aggregate. So they cause a very visible color change, mostly red or purple. This principle was actually used for COVID-19 detection. We can see it over here. Also, it's used in surface enhanced Raman scattering sensors because they are because they are very sensitive. Let's move on to the silver nanoparticle fabrication. As silver nanoparticles have enhanced electrical conductivity, they also naturally kill bacteria by disrupting cell membranes. They generate reactive oxygen species, releasing silver ions, which interfere with cellular proteins and DNA. This actually makes them perfect for wound care, smart bandages that sense infection and prevent it. Let's move on to the fabrication method. So first method that we have here is the electrolysis deposition. In electrolysis deposition, first step is the electrospinning of TPU fibers. Electrospinning is a technique to create nanofiber mets from polymer solutions using a high voltage electric field. A thermoplastic polyurethane solution is pushed through a needle, and where high voltage causes fibers to stretch and collect on a grounded collector. The result is a porous nanostructured fiber, a fiber mat, which is ideal for surface modifications. We use TPU fibers because it is flexible, durable, and biocompatible, and is also perfect for wearables or biomedical use. Then comes PDA coating via dopamine self-polymerization. The TPU mat is dipped into dopamine solution and undergoes oxidative self-polymerization, forming polydopamine on fiber surface. Now, why do we use polydopamine? We use polydopamine because it has catechol and amine groups, and it reduces metal ions to metal atoms. TPU fibers are immersed in dopamine solution. Dopamine self-polymerizes, coating the entire fiber. Silver ions from silver nitrate are deposited onto the PDA-coated fibers. This actually self reduces silver ions to metallic silver nanoparticles. This actually helps bond liquid metal to the fiber. Liquid metal is then added to a silver nanoparticle coated fibers. Cyclic stretching is performed, which forms a stable liquid metal and silver alloy layer. The final result is a durable and stretchable membrane. Then comes the sonochemical method for fabric coating, in which spunbond fabrics are cut into 2 into 2 centimeter square pieces. They are immersed in silver nitrate solutions. Ultrasonic waves are applied for 25 or 50 minutes. This causes silver nanoparticles to form directly within the solution where the fabric was immersed. This actually creates high-speed microjets that anchor silver nanoparticles onto the fabric. Then, layer by layer deposition takes place to enhance coating strength. If there are more silver particles, stronger coating, plus there's going to be better durability. Silver nanoparticles are used in smart bandages. They combine antimicrobial action with biosensing, and they can detect pH, temperature, wound state, and they are very flexible. They are also used in reusable face masks, as silver particles kill bacteria and viruses, and they give durable coating. They survive multiple wash-in cycles. This helps reduce environmental impact versus disposable plastic. Then comes nanowires and energy harvesting. Nanowires are ultra-thin one-dimensional structures made from materials like silicon or zinc oxide, especially in piezoelectric devices which generate electricity when mechanical stress. As we move, the nanowires embedded in the wearable devices stretch or compress. This mechanical energy is then converted into electrical signals. Let's discuss the fabrication techniques of these nanomaterials. First comes the vapor liquid solid method. In it, gold droplets are deposited onto a solid substrate. In this, the catalyst is the gold droplets, which are deposited onto a solid substrate, for example, a silicon wafer, and then precursor gases such as metallic compound like diethyl zinc and oxygen are introduced using chemical vapor deposition. At elevated temperatures, diethyl zinc decomposes and releases zinc vapor. Zinc and oxygen atoms dissolve into gold droplets, forming a liquid alloy. Upon reaching supersaturation, zinc oxide nanowires precipitate out and grow vertically from the substrate under the droplet. Then comes hydrothermal synthesis. Precursors such as zinc nitrate and hexamethylenediamine are used. The solutions placed in autoclave and heated up to 80 to 95 centigrades. HMTS slowly hydrolyzes in water, releasing hydroxide ions. Zinc ions from zinc nitrate reacts with hydroxide from zinc hydroxide, which converts to zinc oxide nanostructures. Controlled growth yields well-aligned zinc oxide nanowires on flexible substrates. It is ideal for flexible low-temperature fabrication of zinc oxide on plastics or fibers. Then comes template electrodeposition. The template is porous and anodized aluminum oxide membrane with nanoscale pores. Electrolyte contains metal ions such as zinc ions. An electric current drives metal ion reduction at template's pores. Nanowires form inside the pores as the metal deposits. The template is chemically dissolved, leaving behind freestanding nanowire areas. Let's move further on. Substrate engineering. Why are substrates actually important in wearable devices? So basically, nanomaterials like sensors or nanowires must be integrated into materials that stretch and bend with the skin They don't irritate the body when in contact, and they allow long-term use, like a smart patch or a bandage. So we use flexible, breathable, waterproof, and biocompatible substrates. First one is the nanoporous steps. It is made using phase separation to introduce nano and micropores. It reflects sunlight easily and body releases heat. So it boosts water transmission and cools skin up to 6 centigrades compared to non-porous steps. Then comes nano-PE textiles, nanoporous polyethylene. It's a textile with thermal comfort and has pore size up to 50 to 1000 nanometers, and it blocks visible light, transmits body heat, and it feels like fabric. And it gives cooling effect up to 2.7 centigrades cooler than cotton. Then we have hybrid substrates, which includes both nanoburst PDMS and silica nanoparticles. It gives passive skin cooling plus waterproof layer. And the temperature drop is 2 centigrade over bare skin, and it is also used in stretchable and breathable sensors.
So now let's shift our focus to quantum dot biosensors. How are these synthesized? The first method is colloidal. We mix metal precursors like cadmium oxide with chalcogens like sulfur or selenium in solvents like triacetyl phosphine oxide at a temperature of 150 to 300 degrees Celsius. By tweaking this reaction time and temperature, we can control quantum dot size, which can vary from 2 to 10 nanometers. That determines their fluorescence color. The smaller dots emit blue colors, and larger ones emit red. Then we have the deposition technique. Spin coating is the number one. Spin coating disperses quantum dots onto flexible substrate like PDMS for wearable photodetectors. Then we have ligand exchange. Ligand exchange replaces the bulky molecules like TOPO with short thiols, boosting conductivity, which is better for signal transmission. Then we have some applications for these quantum dots. These are basically these help detect UV and visible light in smart patches for sun exposure monitoring. They are also used in early cancer detection. We can imagine a wearable bandage that fluoresces when it binds to cancer biomarkers like PSA in blood. And we can move on to the next stretchable conductors. Stretchable nanoconductors, sorry, which are silver nanowires and PU networks. PU is basically polyurethane. The fabrication is done via electrospinning PU nanofibers and then dip them into silver nanowires. PU nanofibers and dip them into silver nanowires dispersion. Then hydrogen bond formed between the PU's amine group and the silver nanowire, creating a mesh with 9190's conductivity and 310% stretchability. The application for this is these networks power epidermal ECG sensors that stay functional even during intense workout. Then we have E-gain composites. What is E-gain? E-gain is eutectic gallium indium. It is a sonicate liquid metal. We sonicate this liquid metal into micro droplets, then embed them into the porous PDMS, which forms a conductive network that resists the leakage. What are the advantages? Number one is antimicrobial. This is because of the silver content in it. Then secondly, the performance, the maintenance of the performance. Even after 1,000 bends, just a 0.1% resistance change is visible. Then the applications of these, sorry, for the main application is ideal for EMG patches, tracking muscle activity, or on-skin human-machine interface. These conductors ensure that our wearable sensor stay reliable no matter how much we move. Then moving on to state-of-the-art devices. These are the cutting-edge wearable health technology monitoring devices being developed and explored. The first and the foremost is the continuous glucose monitoring. Researchers are integrating graphene aerogels with Persian blue uh, to create enzyme-free, basically sensors. This enhances the sensitivity without the instability of biological enzyme. These sensors detect glucose in dynamic range from 0.5 to 0.8 millimolar with a detection limit of just 0.41 millimolar, which is way far better than the invasive method that we use. Jet is another example, which is a Bluetooth enabled graphene based sweat sensor. It continuously monitors glucose and sends real time alerts to patients during hyperglycemia. This improves the diabetes management without need for invasive pricks again and again. Then we have the second device, the second application, that is cardio health monitoring. Carbon nanotubes based ECG electrodes are being used. These are capable of detecting subtle cardiac signals like arterial fibrillation when paired with molybdenum oxide conductors. They provide high fidelity signal acquisition in a very soft and wearable form. Then we have smart textile for muscle and brain monitoring. The smart fabrics now include CNT fibers woven directly into textile. Sorry, these allow continuous EMG, which is the muscle signal, and EEG, the brain signal tracking, without bulky equipment. To power these all electric signals, we need a battery or a source. So for that, we also have a solution in this nanotechnology. Electric nanogenerators embedded into wearables are being embedded into wearables. These convert biomechanical motions like walking into electricity. Then that means that there is no need for external battery, and this makes the system more easier and sustainable. Hence, it is very state of the art. Then we have the respiratory sensors. Zinc oxide nanowires based mask can not only detect breathing rate changes, but they can also detect environmental pollutants like nitrogen dioxide and carbon monoxide for asthma and chronic respiratory conditions. So these were some applications. Now moving on to IoT integration in the wearables. So the first and the foremost of this is the real-time data transmission. The biggest example of this, which is being deployed, is the vital patch. On the right, we can see all the features that are being captured by the vital patch. It is basically a wireless connected a device which transmit data in real time to connected devices or the cloud platform. This also monitors some vital signs such as heart rate, body temperature, glucose level, and etc. Then we have edge AI chips. This is the on-device processing. This includes the on-device processing to reduce latency. The example can be कि, अगर हमें instant detection चाहिए of arrhythmia, which is irregular heartbeats, so that would be much better in the edge AI chip because of the low latency. Then we have cloud analytics. AI and machine learning algorithm can be applied and to identify the trends and anomalies in metrics such as glucose level fluctuations, ECG irregularities, and it can provide actionable insight for user and healthcare providers. Then one more thing is remote clinical trial. Internet of Medical Things integration enables decentralized clinical trials. The wearables collect real-world data from trial participant remotely, and it reduces the need for in-person visits, improving the accessibility and scalability of the trials and visits. Then moving on, we have 5G enabled healthcare. 5G is totally a game changer for wearable health devices. It provides ultra low latency. 5G in an ICU setting can be imagined like it can allow remote monitoring of critical patients where even a millisecond delay is very critical and can be life threatening. Then the scalability for multi-sensor network. 5G can support massive networks, massive machine type communications, connecting 1,000 of devices in a single network. This is vital for all the devices that we are using, and we mentioned earlier as well, which is also known as the body area network now, where smartwatches, patches, and textile work together to monitor a patient's or a person's vitals. Then we have a case study based on the University of Oulu's research. These researchers deployed nano-enabled wearables that continuously stream the data to an AI dashboard. This setup enabled the proactive intervention, such as detecting arrhythmia before the system actually appeared in the patient. Then, moving on, we have some challenges in this technology. The first and the foremost is the regulatory approval. Emerging materials like graphene and carbon nanotubes lack standardized regulatory, which are FDAs and EMAs for medical device approval. Then the requirements for these are long-term biosafety studies to assess the biocompatibility. Toxicity भी नहीं होनी चाहिए उसमें test to ensure that no harmful effects are on the human cells. Then we have durability. Durability is biofouling, which means that prolonged exposure to sweat or skin contact degrades sensor surfaces, reducing the accuracy and the lifespan of the sensor. Then we have mechanical wear. CNT and graphene coatings can be compromised by repeated bending and stretching, and it can cause cracks in it, which can reduce the conductivity and the functionality overall. Then we have data security. IoT vulnerabilities such as wireless internet protocols like BLE and Wi-Fi are prone to hacking. This will risk the patient's privacy and also the manipulation of data. Then we have compliance. Compliance with HIPAA and GDPR for data protection is are very strict and regulation that we need to follow for this. Then we have scalability. The production cost is a key issue. Manufacturing defect-free graphene at a scale is very expensive due to complex synthesis process. Then integrating all these nanomaterials into textile without properly measuring all the matrix is very difficult. So these are all the challenges that we try to focus. Then we have the social impact. So the positive impact. First and the foremost is reduced hospitalization. Remote monitoring of chronic diseases like diabetes and heart rate can cut the emergency visit by 30%. Then the rural healthcare. Internet of Medical Things can increase the access to farmers in the remote areas. Then that they can transmit their vitals data to urban specialists via 5G. Then we have some policy issues. Policy issues concerned are the first one is the ethical consent for third-party data sharing, which means that the owner of the data will need to give up explicit consent to the pharma industry or the doctors to actually see their data and basically take insights from it. Then standardization. So for now, no global framework exists for IoT security in medical devices. This creates a risk like unencrypted data streams in older BLE versions can create a data theft or data privacy issue, which is very not very ethical. Then we will move on to the future directions. AI and AI-driven predictive care, machine learning models are very efficient and will analyze the ECG patterns from graphene patches to predict cardiac events before they actually happen. Secondly, we have the self-powered sensors, ZNO nanowires. These basically power themselves from the physical motion of the human body via the piezoelectric effects, which which eliminates the use of external batteries. Bioresorbable electronics is the third one. Sensors made of silk, fibroin, or magnesium circuit dissolve harmlessly. This is being used and can be used after the post-surgery wounds to cover the post-surgery wounds and to monitor them as well. And as soon as the wound heals, the bioresorbable electronic will itself vanish. Then we have the multiplex detection, MXNEs, and quantum dot. This will enable simultaneous tracking of glucose, lactate, and cortisol from a single sweat sample. These are really mind-boggling and life-changing as well. To conclude all of this, sorry, nanotech plus IoT will enable non-invasive real-time monitoring of glucose, ECG, and other vitals that are very important for human health. Devices like the GAT system and the vital patch are already in place, are transforming the healthcare into a predictive, personalized system. But some challenges will remain, and which are regulatory bottlenecks as discussed, data privacy risks, and scalable fabrication. And these must be addressed. But for the future, the fusion of AI, self-powered sensors, and bioresorbable material will redefine healthcare, making it proactive, accessible, and waste-free. Thank you for your time. And this was it from my side.